Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our session, Quality, It's Multidimensional. My name is Ina Mundi, and I'm excited to be here with you today for this live session. So make sure to ask your questions in the chat. We'll try and get to them as we go along, and anything that we don't get to, we have some time set aside at the end for Q&A. Also, make sure you stick around till the end, because we will be doing a prize draw for one of our exciting new products that we'll only reveal at the end. So if you want to know what you might be able to win, make sure you stay with us until we get there. So until then, what are we going to talk about today? We want to talk to you about quality and how quality really goes way beyond the product and the materials. So really it has multiple dimensions, it has multiple layers, and we're here today to peel those layers back with you. But let's start at the beginning. When the company was founded in 1899, Carl Miele and Reinhard Zinkan really were faced with the question whether they wanted to be cheaper to compete or better. So they actually decided way back when that they always wanted to be better than the competition. And that's how our company motto, Immer besser, forever better, really was coined. And really, quality shines through in everything we do. But who better to tell you about this than Dr. Peter Zinkan himself, who's the grandson of Reinhard Zinkan, the founder. Let's hear from him.
Schon ein kleines Kind war mir bewusst, dass ich einmal die Aufgabe bei Miele übernehmen sollte, so wie mein Vater die Aufgabe von seinem Vater übernommen hat. Es war mir ganz klar, das würde der Inhalt meines Lebens sein. Das Motto "Immer besser" kommt von den beiden Gründern, dem alten Herrn Miele und meinem Großvater. Für sie war es schon selbstverständlich, dass es nur zwei Wege zum Erfolg gibt. Entweder billiger zu sein oder besser zu sein. Und sie schrieben schon 1901 auf die Deckel ihrer Butterfässer "Immer besser", zusammen mit dem Westfalenross. Wenn ich gefragt werde, was ich mir für die Zukunft von Miele wünsche, dann eben, dass wir dem immer besser treu bleiben, dass wir eine selbstständige Familiengesellschaft bleiben, die nichts mit dem Kapitalmarkt zu tun hat, die nicht auf außenstehende Investoren hören müssen, sondern die ihrem Ziel nachgehen kann und in gesundem Zustand in die nächsten Generationen weitergegeben wird. Und dass sich alle Mitarbeiter hier wie in einer großen Familie wohlfühlen können und nicht Angst vor Entwicklung haben müssen.
Good morning, everybody. Apologies for the little bit of a wait there as we dealt with a couple things. As both Peter Zinkan and Ina mentioned, when it comes to Miele, quality is multifaceted and multidimensional. And really, when we look at the physical side of quality, we're talking about three different primary components that go into it. We're talking about the overall durability of the products that Miele manufactures. We're talking about the materials we use to give us that durability, and obviously all of the end-of-line testing that goes along with really ensuring that people are going to have these appliances for a very, very long time. And when we talk about a very long time, what do we mean? Well, what we're really talking about is tested and built to last the equivalent of 20 years of use. And when we talk about this equivalency, what does it really mean? Well, what it really means is making sure that over the space of 20 years, what most people would use day to day is completely covered. Let's take an example. When we talk about our dishwashers, we're looking at 7,500 cycles that these are tested for in our Miele factories. And that is actually the equivalent of once a day, 7 days a week, for 20 years. Now, what if you're the person who uses it once every 2 days? Can we expect a much longer lifespan? Absolutely. But we actually go further than most brands in the market would do, because we actually want to ensure that, because most people are building the kitchens to last 20, 25 years, that it not only looks great in the kitchen for that time, but everything lasts as long as the life of that kitchen. So other brands, what do we see? Well, typically we see people doing about 3,500 cycles when it comes to a dishwasher. And this is the equivalent of once a day, 7 days a week for only 9.5 years. So much less in the market. And truly, when we look at quality, unlike many brands that are really built to break, Miele is really built to last. When we talk about our laundry systems, which we'll dive more into a little later on, we're talking on average 10,000 operating hours of time, which is the equivalent of 5 to 7 loads a week, every week for 20 years. So these are just a couple examples from the standpoint of durability that Miele really strives to achieve and brings to you, our consumers. But when we talk about the materials that go into the products that we have, I think it's really good to go back to my friend Ina to actually show us exactly what we're talking about when we look at the durability of the products that Miele manufactures, and no better than to talk about the construction of our Miele vacuums.
Thank you, Kirby. Those were some really impressive stats, but let's get into the materials. As Kirby says, all our vacuums are a great example of the quality of the materials that go into our products. So, for example, the shell of our vacuums is made from ABS plastic, which is basically the same thing as a football helmet. So it's extremely sturdy. I can actually stand on it and it's not gonna break or do anything. I can hit it pretty hard and nothing's gonna dent or scratch. Really, why does that matter though? It matters because you don't have to worry about it running into a wall as you vacuum around your house. If you ever forget that there were a couple of stairs behind you and it tumbles down, your vacuum's gonna last. It's not gonna dent or break. It's really built to last a very long time. The other thing that I always find very interesting is the cord. There's very few vacuums that you would want to do that with without messing up the cord mechanism, because a lot of times if you have had other vacuums, there'll be like a little red flag at the end that tells you not to go beyond that point. Otherwise, it would be potentially damaging the cord retractable or retracting mechanism. Not so in this case. I can hang it up and I can still very easily just let it retract. Let's go further and talk about our hoses. So again, I can really put these through all sorts of durability testing here The materials that go into that, including some steel wire, will make sure that the hose retains its shape. It's not going to get brittle over time. It's not going to break. Also, we have a nice free-floating mechanism at the top with the connectors. What that's going to do is, again, make sure that everything lasts you a very long time. You're never going to be duct taping around any of this as long as you use your vacuum. So I think those are some really cool examples on how Miele actions quality in our products. But obviously, it goes much further than that even. So let's talk a little bit about the end-of-line testing that Miele does and go back to my colleague, Kirby.
Thank you so much, Ina. And I think that really does kind of lead into my discussion about the end-of-line testing that Miele does within our factories. And when we stay on the topic of vacuum cleaners, I think this really is something that is near and dear to our hearts, seeing as though we've been making vacuums since 1927. And end-of-line testing that we do on our vacuum cleaners is really, a multitude. We do multiple tests, but the most important thing is that all vacuums that are manufactured by Miele are powered up before we actually put them in the boxes and ship them globally. And we do this to ensure that the motors, the electrical, everything is of course working properly for every single vacuum that comes out of the factory, because this means that when you open the box at home, you're never going to get a vacuum that doesn't work. And this is something that we always want to ensure that you're going to have that wonderful vacuuming experience from the first moment you turn it on to the very end of its workable life, 20 plus years. Not only this too, but we also go through a number of other tests when it comes to different products that we manufacture. It's not just vacuums, but let's look at cooktops. So the cooktops, these are the cooking pieces that fit into the countertop. Multitude of things that we do here too. So things like a temperature drop, a rapid temperature drop. So let's just say you have a high temperature on the highest setting possible, and you take ice cold water and you drop that onto that cooking surface. That's going to drop the temperature approximately 900 degrees Fahrenheit in the space of just a second. Now, in the case of the black ceramic glass that Miele uses on all of our electric and induction cooktops, we only utilize the highest quality ceramic glass. In other brands, a temperature drop like this would explode that glass. And this is why we want to ensure that when you have these rapid changes, you're going to really have a high durability level. Other durability tests that we do on our cooktops include things like dropping things on it or putting on abrasion. So if we look at the abrasion of a pot rubbing over the surface of that cooktop for thousands and thousands of times, or a pot that's dropped from a height of 6 to 12 inches multiple times to test the durability and wear of those cooktops. This is very important because, again, when you look at it in a showroom, it needs to look the same in your kitchen after 5, 10, 15 years. But what about dishwashers? And of course, dishwashers, again, another one of the products that Miele is best known for. We actually ship our dishwashers with water in them when they even get to the home. And you might wonder why we do that. Well, we do this because the water inside those dishwashers in the production process keeps the pumps and seals and everything lubricated in order to ensure that everything is working when you turn it on for the first time. Apart from all the other testing that we do, looking at a dishwasher example we have here, the opening and closing of that door 100,000 plus times. Because again, even though you might be operating that 7,500 times plus in its lifetime, you're going to be opening and closing that door multiple times a day to put items in or to take items out. The pulling in and out of the racks to ensure that, again, the action on those racks and the glide mechanisms are working for the life of that dishwasher is extremely important to Miele. But of course, we're going to talk a lot today about laundry. And I think laundry, especially when you talk about the care of clothing, is of the utmost importance. And the durability testing that we do and the end-of-line testing that we do on the laundry side is not just for the components. it's not just for, the fascia or the front of that laundry machine, but the drum inside to best care for the clothing that you want to keep for many, many years to come. And of course, with our patented honeycomb technology, we actually have a team of about 30 engineers in our Gütersloh plant whose sole job is to actually take a silk glove on our honeycomb drum and rub that glove over every area of the inner and outer drum in order to make sure that there are no snags or catches. And if that drum catches even once, that drum is rejected and we move on to the next one in order to guarantee the long life of the clothing and other items that you might put in your laundry machine. Moving on to just a couple other things, like our fridge temperatures. We always have our fridge temperatures checked to make sure that with our dynamic cooling system, where we have an air curtain within our appliances that allows refrigeration to cool not only from the back but also from the front of the unit simultaneously, to keep even your more delicate items like your dairy that's on the door of the fridge at a consistent temperature for the life of that product that's in there. And of course, coffee. We all want our morning coffee. We want to make sure that the grinder is working. We want to make sure that you've got the proper temperatures in that coffee cup. So even minute tests like ensuring that the exact temperature from the coffee that dispenses from that nozzle is going to be within your cup. But one of the last things I would like to talk about before we move on to the next topic is really our hood fan manufacturing, because this is one thing that oftentimes people kind of treat as a bit of an afterthought. But obviously when it comes to Miele, hood fans are not just there for the best extraction, but they're there to be pieces of art. And when we look at this, we look at ensuring that these are actually hand assembled. And we have little robots that drive up and down our factory in Arnsberg. They deliver parts to a single assembly area where one person from start to finish both assembles, hand finishes, and polishes every hood fan that we make. And the fact that we do this means that we're actually able to actually tie that serial number back to the individual person who manufactured or assembled that hood. But really what I'm leading to here is what we call the best of both worlds. Because as Miele grew as a company, one of the things that we realized is that we needed to automate. And in this case, we actually do automate some of our processes, in this case specifically on the side of vacuum cleaners. So we automate the production of vacuum cleaners so we can produce much more, but never sacrificing quality. On the other side, because we have many appliances that are hand assembled and finished, and we can trace that production back to the individual person, really the finishing is a sign of craftsmanship that we can't understate. So really with Miele, we not only assure quality from an automated process, but also from a hand finishing process to give everyone the best of both worlds. So with that, we'd like to take a look at the other dimensions of what quality is all about with Miele, because it's not just about the actual physical process and the end-of-line testing and the materials that we use. It's also about many other things. So let's hand it back to Ina and learn a little bit more about that.
Thank you, Kirby. So, as Kirby said, we've looked at the durability, we've looked at the materials, we've looked at how we ensure that when our products leave the factory, they are a state-of-the-art piece of perfection. But what happens next? So when you buy a Miele appliance, how else do we ensure you have the best experience and quality possible? Well, there is something that we call forever care. And that means that we basically applied our promise of being immer besser, forever better, to the whole customer journey. So once you start your journey with us, it begins with delivery. We have our own delivery teams that will deliver the appliance to your house. you can opt for a Miele certified installation. So our own dedicated installation teams will come to you and make sure that your appliance is set up perfectly from the first time you use it. The other benefit of that is that it also gives you 1 additional year of warranty on both the appliance, but also the installation. And as Kirby said, of course, we expect your appliances to last you for a very, very long time, given that they are of superior quality. But if you ever did run into any challenges or you did have questions, we're still there for you. So we have our dedicated customer care center here at our head office in Vaughan that will look after any questions that you might have. We have our Miele trained dedicated technicians, service technicians, our own as well as an independent network of those that will look after your appliances and make sure that they run perfectly all the time. But it still continues. It still goes beyond that. So we also offer you Miele consumables. So that means detergents, appliance care products, and so on. And why is that important? Well, on the one hand, if you use them, you will get the best possible end result. Those products are really calibrated to work perfectly in sync with your appliances. They ensure that the long lifespan definitely can be achieved. So they will be gentle on your appliances, making sure that they run well, but they'll also give you the absolute best end result possible, no matter whether you're cleaning something, you're cooking, or you're making yourself a delicious coffee. So that is really the idea behind Forever Care. Outside of that, of course, there's a few more things. So we have our Miele app, which you can connect your connected appliances to, and it really just adds another level of convenience. So you're now able to check, what the status is of your washing machine or your dishwasher. You can even go as far as scheduling dishwashing runs, for example, throughout the whole week. If you know that you want your dishwasher always to run at 11 p.m. each night, you can set it up that way. Or you can vary it for different times a day depending on what your schedule is. You can also check the level of your detergents for any of our auto-dosing appliances to see whether you might need to reorder, and even reorder your detergents through the app. So multiple levels of convenience there. And I think the last thing that I just want to mention, because I think that's also very unique in the industry, is our Miele Culinary Institute. And what that really does is it helps you get the most out of your appliances. So if you have questions on how to use your ovens, if you want to understand all the features and functionalities that your appliances have, we have our team of knowledgeable experts, of our in-house chefs that can help you along, whether it be through a discovery class, whether it's a full-blown master class, or even just direct owner consultations. So again, quality goes beyond just the product. It really is all encompassing for us. It shines through in everything that we do. But I know I have promised you that we would move on and give you a really great real-life example from A to Z. So I want to just throw it back to Kirby to take you through that. Oh, hang on a second. I just see that we got a question on the app. So the question was, can all Miele appliances connect to the app? And the answer to that is, at this point in time, not all of them can. We have obviously our dishwashers, our laundry, we have some hood fan connectivity, but the vision really is that over the next few years, this will expand. Our refrigeration, Kirby gives me a nod here, of course, as well. I can't forget about that. But yeah, so the vision is really over the next few years, more and more, and most of our appliances will be able to connect to our app and really give you a full universe, if you will, on the smart home side of things within your house when you use them. So now, I'm going to hand it back to Kirby.
Perfect, thank you, Ina. So we thought it might be really fun to actually talk about what we can experience from the products themselves. And by this, what we thought we might want to do is take you on a bit of a virtual tour of one of our factories. And in this case, we want to take you to our Gütersloh factory, which is also where our head office is located. But this is where we manufacture all of our washing machines. So let's take you through a short little video of exactly how the process works when it comes to production at Miele, and the amount of quality and engineering that goes into this. And when we talk about engineering, we're talking about this vertical integration in all of our factories, where from the initial design to the research and development to the actual construction and production to the end-of-line testing is all done in this facility. And keeping it in-house like this really does give us greater opportunity to ensure that quality is checked throughout the entire process from start to finish. But of course, when we talk about the quality, let's look behind me here at one of our examples of our W1 washing machines. And of course, in this case, this washing machine has been kind of exploded. So we can see the different componentry that's under the hood. Because of course, when you walk into a retail location, into a store, and you see those products, you see the programs, you see the materials on the front, you see all of the, what I call the bells and whistles that we attribute with any appliance out there. But what you typically don't see is what's happening underneath. And these are the types of considerations and things that we always want to focus on at Miele, because it's extremely important to us to not only offer you the best care for your garments or anything else, be it the roast you're preparing in the oven or the dishes you're washing in the dishwasher. We want to make sure that the product is going to last the equivalent of 20 years of use, but that the clothing you put in is also going to last a very long time. So let's take a look at some of the quality components that we use when producing our Miele washing machines. And first and foremost, we see the patented honeycomb drum in here. And of course, when you look at a washing machine, you might say, why is that inner part so small? And it's a little deceptive, right? Because of course, when you look at front-loading machines, you can stuff them fairly full, no problem whatsoever. But you just want to leave a little bit of space at the top, because there are different components that happen when you're washing your clothes, and the mechanical action, that tumbling, is a big part of it. But on the outside of it here, there's actually a larger outer drum. And if you were to open your dryer at home, the drum is actually larger than what you see in the washer. And that's intentional. But this outer drum, this is actually where the water sits. And that drum in the dryer and the outer drum of the washer are actually about the same size. And this is why if you have a front-loading washing machine at home, you typically don't see a lot of water in it, because it's sitting between that inner and outer drum. And as the clothes tumble around, the water is sloshing around, and the friction and the soap is doing what it needs to do. But what do most brands in the market manufacture that outer drum from? Plastic. And we all should know that plastic over time, while inexpensive to produce, can wear out, can crack. And especially as it relates to the use of detergents, and many people use much more detergent than they really need to, or the wrong types of detergent, that with the plastic can actually start to smell over time. So what does Miele use? We use stainless steel, and we're one of the only brands in the world to do so, because it's easy to clean, easy to maintain, and again, you don't see this, it's just all under the hood, but also lasts the life of the machine. But let's take it one step further, because I'm sure some of you at home have had to move a washing machine in your lifetime, and you know that they're not the lightest things in the world to move. And that's because of what's called a counterweight. And a counterweight is the piece here on the front and on the back that adds weight to the drum for that centrifugal force. When we say centrifugal force, what we mean is the force that's needed during the spin cycle on your clothes to get the water out, because that shortens the drying time. Now, just on looking at what we see here, it actually is much different than what we see in other brands in the market, in that they use concrete. And if you've ever driven under a bridge somewhere in Canada where we get all the ice and snow and water, we see what happens to concrete over time. It erodes, it degrades. because it's inexpensive, but it doesn't last. With Miele, we utilize cast iron. And if I were to go around the back of this drum, you'd see a cast iron cross. And we do this for perfect balance and perfect durability. Now, most of you probably don't know this, but one thing that's really special about Miele is that not only do we assemble all of the components that go into these laundry machines in our Gütersloh factory, just like we do other factories owned by Miele with our other products, but we actually have our own factories that make the parts that go into the pieces. And in this case, Miele actually has its own foundry. And the foundry is there to actually manufacture the cast iron parts that go into the washing machine that we see here today. This means that we can ensure the quality not only of the final product, but also the individual components of construction during that process. But let's go even further than that. We actually have our own tool and die factories. And in essence, what these are for is to actually build the machines that build the machines. Very few companies can attest to that level of detail. And we always say with Miele, it's really about the detail and forever being better, immer besser. But again, that stainless steel inner and outer drum, that cast iron counterweight to provide perfect balance and perfect longevity, is supported by a motor. We have a motor in the back, which is called our permanent magnet motor. And we always use belt-driven motors, not direct drive motors that we see a lot in the industry these days, because what's the benefit of one versus the other? Well, our motors are super quiet and they'll last the life of the unit. They're perfectly balanced in the machine. And again, if a belt goes, it's an inexpensive part to replace. You know, Ina spoke a lot about our certified service technicians. That's their job, is to help maintain these. But in a direct drive unit, we see as kind of a buzzword in the industry, if the motor fails, the whole motor has to be replaced. So the cost to the consumer goes up. Now, all of these things are extremely well balanced together, but we need to ensure that balance at the bottom with different springs and hydraulic suspension systems in order to ensure that everything stays extremely stable and quiet in the home. And as it relates to our W1 and T1 laundry systems, these are the quietest laundry systems that Miele has ever produced. And for almost everybody who puts this in their home, you barely even know it's running even during that spin cycle. But it's not just about that we don't see, it's also what we do see. Because Miele looks at every piece of the components to ensure that it's going to give a long life and great look. And when we look on the front of it, we do have, again, end-of-line tests, impact tests, where we impact with ball bearings on the front of the control panel to simulate what would happen if you struck it with a belt buckle. But also, the enameling process that we do on the fronts and sides of our laundry machines, and how if I were to take a key and try to scratch that, it's impossible because we utilize the same enameling process that we do in the inside of our ovens in order to allow our ovens to self-clean at almost 800 degrees Fahrenheit on the fronts and sides of these appliances, again, for the added durability and proof of quality that Miele provides. So hopefully this gives you a bit of an idea and a little bit of insight into the attention to detail that goes into Miele products, specifically laundry, a little bit of a peek into our Gütersloh factory and everything that goes along with it, and the supporting factories that help us bring it all together to give consumers the absolute best product that will last the longest. And with that, I think we're going to now move over and we're going to entertain some questions.
Let's.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we had a few come in, Kirby, so
I think
we'll
we did,
just,
yeah.
Start maybe, oh, what a great one.
Oh yeah,
start
well,
with that one?
since we were just talking about the honeycomb drum, the question was, is the honeycomb drum featured in all of the models? And the answer is yes. Miele does feature honeycomb technology, and just to give you an idea of what this is very quickly, honeycomb technology means that instead of having thousands of little holes on the inside of your washing machine drum, you have approximately 900 versus 3,500 to 4,000, depends on the size of your machine. And the purpose of this is that during the spin cycle, we're going to get rid of the water from your clothes, but this special convex shape pushes the water to less holes, meaning less pulling of fabric through the holes. And then of course, remember I told about the silk glove? We polish the inner and outer drum to make sure that no pilling or catches occur on any of your favorite clothing, because of course we want to ensure that you're going to get the best quality results. So yes, on our dryers, it's a concave shape. We do this to create little pockets of air to help assist in the drying, but the convex in the honeycomb for the washer, and yes, it's featured on all washers and dryers. Great question. Let's see if we had any other questions in the chat for now. Well, it looks like another one we have coming in. So a question that's just coming in is, where can I get more information after this session is over? Ina, did you want to field this one?
Sure. Yeah, I think there's some great opportunities, obviously, to get more information. We have our Miele.ca website, which is kind of a great starting point, I think, for most people. But then, of course, even during times of COVID, we found a way to interact with you face-to-face, even though it might be through a screen. So we offer virtual consultations if you have any questions about our products.
Perfect. And it looks like we might have one more question coming in now, so let's just field this one here. So Lisa asked, how should I best approach which model is right for me? Well, and I think this is where we want to utilize really our network of trusted retail partners, and of course our own retail teams at the Miele Experience Centers. We have a vast training program that allows a lot of these questions to be answered by our retail salespeople as well as our Miele employees here, and they really can guide you through the different models that Miele has and the different features and benefits that go along with it. I think these are, again, there's so many products that we offer. It really depends on what you're looking for, but one of the things that we also recommend is utilize the Find Retailer function on Miele.ca. So if you go in through the customer support area, it can also guide you towards the retailers that are closest to you and the ones that can speak confidently about that product to ensure that you're getting all answers to your questions. Okay? Another avenue that you can take, I think is very important for us to mention during IDS, is the fact that we have our virtual experience happening right now. This also includes the ability for you to connect to a virtual consultation with one of our team members. So that's obviously a way for you to get a little bit more information during the show this week.
And then we've got another question on the Wi-Fi connectivity and when it's coming on ranges and ovens. And I think we're pretty excited that it is not too far away. I don't know that we want to share too much detail just yet, but I would be saying for sure within the next year we'll introduce additional cooking appliances that will have Wi-Fi connectivity. So on that note, I think we'd also want to encourage you to explore the virtual experience with some other sessions that we have that feature some products that are either coming in the future or products that we're considering bringing into the market, and where we'd love to get your input as well. So make sure you check that out.
Perfect. So Heather asked, some of my clients outside of major city centers are wary of buying products they perceive as hard to service and might lean towards North American appliances instead. Any advice? Great question, Heather. Thanks so much. So in this case, we do have an entire network of not only Miele technicians, but Miele certified technicians. And I think when Ina spoke to the multifaceted concept of quality, one of the things that cannot be understated is that we do have a network of third-party technicians who absolutely go through a rigorous, very rigorous and long training program. And in fact, one of the things I'd like to mention about service specifically is that we actually only provide the parts to repair the Miele appliances to those technicians who have proven to Miele that they have not only passed but excelled at the repair of these units. Because again, if you're in an outside area or a more remote area, we want to make sure that you're getting the exact same service capability that one would get if they were in downtown Toronto or Vancouver or Calgary or Montreal. So really, the intention is to ensure that you're getting that fantastic experience from every step of the journey. Every step of the journey, from that, pre-purchase with the ability to actually attend virtual classes with our Culinary Institute, to the purchase either through one of our experience centers or one of our trusted retailers, to the possible need for service, though we hope that never happens anyway, right? Of course. Exactly.
But that's where actually the next question feeds in really nicely. Christina wants to know what is included in the warranty. So I think this is a really great question because it's another piece that really sets us aside from our competitors, whereby number one, we're talking about a manufacturer warranty that you're getting when you're buying Miele products. Initially, it's obviously 1 year. If you choose certified installation, it's 2. But we also are obviously confident in the quality of our products, so we offer a 5-year warranty that you can add on, as well as a 10-year warranty. And what is covered within that is basically parts and labor, so the full-blown service experience. Whether they have to come out once or twice, it doesn't matter, everything is covered. So again, it goes back to wanting to give you the best experience and the best quality experience, no matter what your journey looks like.
Yeah, and I think that's really important too, because one thing that you mentioned, Ina, which I think I just want to elaborate on, is the installation. So Ina did mention that, if you have the Miele pricing, which is a 1-year standard manufacturer's warranty, if you choose Miele Install, you get that 2nd year as a thank you to you. But whenever we do installation, we guarantee the installation itself for a year. And I think a lot of people don't think about this, because when you look at the appliance, if you come home and let's just say your kitchen were flooded, right? Is it because the appliance was broken, or was it installed incorrectly? And I think that's a really big piece of the puzzle, because a consumer, they don't know. They're faced with the dilemma and they don't know what to do because they're just dealing with the emergency. And I think that peace of mind that comes not only with a manufacturer's warranty, but an installation guarantee, I think is a really important piece of the puzzle. I noticed that AT had asked a question. I love how detailed Miele quality checks are. Do these exist across all factories for Miele? And the answer is an absolute yes. And I think what I tried to highlight in a very brief fashion was with these end-of-line tests, right? Is that from cooktops to vacuum cleaners to dishwashers and laundry, all of these testing and end-of-line tests and durability tests are done as part of our kind of vertical integrated process. This is why we find that from the engineering to design to production is all located in one facility to really allow us to cross-functionally get things done and ensure that that quality concept is really handled from start to finish. So absolutely, it's done in every single factory that Miele operates. Do we have any other questions? Oh, it looks like we're all caught up with questions. So thank you so much for providing us with the questions. That was a lot, and I really appreciate that. I think it really helps us understand your desire to know more about Miele quality. But I think now that we've had a chance to explain how quality matters to Miele and the different processes that we do through our testing and production, I think I'm going to hand it back to Ina. We're going to wrap up the day today.
That sounds great. Thanks, Kirby, and thank you to everyone for joining us here today. I hope we were able to share some really interesting stories and facts with you. As I mentioned earlier, let's get the really interesting part out of the way. We are giving away, among everybody that is live with us today, one of our brand new introduced Triflex HX1 cordless stick vacuums. Really, really exciting prize, so I wish you all good luck. We will obviously be in touch with the winner as it happens. And I just want to leave you with a few parting thoughts, if you will. So make sure you get the most out of the IDS experience. We touched on it. There's some great sessions available for you. that we still offer. There's the Miele virtual experience for real-time questions and consultations. And aside from that, we're looking forward to seeing you in the fall for the North American premiere of our full lineup of Generation 7000 appliances. So make sure you don't miss the sneak peek at this IDS and join us back. If you can't wait that long, you can always sign up for updates on miele.ca. And you can, of course, follow us on social media as well. And yeah, just to wrap up the day, we just have a few final parting thoughts for you via our basically owners, members of the board in Germany. So let's hear from them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Miele stands for quality and durability like no other company. This is something that sets us apart from the competition.
Immer besser or forever better. That is our genetic code and our approach for 117 years. We translate this into today's time as the approach of delivering the highest quality in the market in the sense of longevity and durability. On the other hand, we have the approach to be the forerunners in technology.
We not only want to be immer besser, forever better, in terms of reliability, user convenience, excellent results, and future-proof technology. We also want to be a reliable, expert, and pleasant partner for our customers, employees, and suppliers. That is what quality stands for too.
I would tell those who decide to buy a Miele product that they opt for a durable, efficient and future-proof domestic appliance at the highest technological standards. No matter if it is for washing, dishwashing, cooking or vacuuming. With a Miele appliance, they purchase a product which has been manufactured using energy-saving production methods and with the highest quality standards by employees and suppliers who benefit from high social standards.
With the systematic quality management, we guarantee that our high in-house demands on quality are also observed in the product development phase, usage phase, and even beyond that. For this reason, more than 300 employees involved in quality assurance check components and appliances, carry out tests, and continuously improve processes and products. We simply examine every little detail.
We are proud that so many customers have stayed loyal to us over decades because they are more than satisfied with our domestic appliances. To us, this is a sign of confidence and also an incentive to continue to strive to be immer besser.